Misunderstood, a TED Talk on Feminism by Marissa Mortellaro. Raise your hand if you've ever been personally victimized by gender stereotypes. Interesting thought to ponder, don't you think? Starting with men, how many of you have ever been told that you have to go to work every day in order to provide for your family while your wife stays home to take care of the kids, or that you're the one who has to build a fence in the backyard, paint the kitchen, and hang the TV? Maybe you like the color pink for a dress shirt, but have to pause and question your decision on whether to wear it to work. Hopefully this expression isn't around anymore, but I remember growing up hearing boys be teased being called a sissy, which meant that they were like a girl, which ultimately meant that they were weak. Notice how the girls in the first picture are both wearing pink, while the little boy is dressed in blue. Interesting, isn't it? And now for women. How many of you women have been told you run like a girl, and that wasn't spoken as a compliment? It meant that you don't run as fast, or that your form is sloppy, and that you're not as strong as a man. Or maybe you've been brought up to believe that you'll never make it as far in life as your brother or your father, simply because of your gender. How many of you were told that you weren't allowed to play sports such as hockey or football because those are boy sports? These are all examples of gender stereotypes, and something here needs to change. We wouldn't want to rule the world, even if we could. We just want boys to listen, so girls are understood. In my lifetime, I have come across many books that exemplify exactly what it's like to be treated unfairly as a woman, and some that have been brave enough to overcome the can and cannots of today's society anyway, like the right to vote, the right to drive a car, to fly a plane, and to be the manager of a baseball team, and all the in-betweens. Although women have reached many milestones over the last several decades, we still have a long way to go. I do have to say, since dating back, the times have changed and we're getting closer and closer to becoming equal. Some of the biggest accomplishments thus far have been: the first state to grant the vote to women was Wyoming in 1869, and the 19th Amendment granting all women the right to vote was in 1920. The first Equal Rights Amendment was proposed in 1923. Amelia Earhart is the first woman to cross the Atlantic Ocean in an airplane in 1928. The All-American Girls Professional Baseball League becomes the first professional league for women in 1943. Sandra Day O'Connor was the first woman on the Supreme Court in 1981, and Hillary Clinton becomes the first female presidential nominee for a major party in 2016. Some of the other major victories for women have been in just the past couple years, where women have been able to support each other through the Me Too movement. And just this month, a new record of women have been elected to Congress, including 2 Native American women and 2 Muslim women. Still, though, there are some challenges ahead. Although more women are graduating from college than men, women are still paid less than their male counterparts, working at the same exact job. The first book I read in this course was Heart on Fire by Anne Malaspina. This book was about the first female who attempted to vote on her own. Although she didn't necessarily succeed, Susan B. Anthony made history everywhere. She was signed off the right to vote by a few men in the White House, but later was arrested on their behalf. She didn't care, though. She was ecstatic that her vote ultimately got processed, and even if not counted in the presidential election, she made a difference. After Susan voted, she encouraged maybe 15 other women to do so also. This showed me the meaning of women empowerment and what it means to make a difference. Mrs. Anthony was almost immediately arrested back in 1872, but about 50 years later, the official law passed that women were now able to vote. What a difference she made. If only she was here today to be able to experience it. This also plays a part into my next book of someone who made a drastic difference in history, but passed away too soon to even notice it. The second book I read was called She Loved Baseball by Audrey Vernick. The book was about an African-American woman named Effa Manley who changed the game of baseball forever by being aware of prejudice at a young age and needed to make a change. This book was portraying Effa as being wrong for playing sports with the quote-unquote Negroes who were just her brothers, and was completely offended with the statement. Once she graduated college, she moved to New York and organized the Citizens League for Fair Play, which demanded that businesses hire black employees also. Protests began all over the state with signs saying, "Don't buy where you can't work." She always fought for what was right, no matter how she assumed she thought she would be treated for it. Effa was inducted to the Baseball Hall of Fame to be recognized for her hard work in a civil movement on getting the major leagues to treat Negro leagues with respect. She will forever be remembered in the Hall of Fame history. Third, I read Amelia and Eleanor Go for a Ride by Pam Munoz Ryan. This was my favorite book of the collection by far. In this book, Amelia Earhart and Eleanor Roosevelt decide to get together for a dinner party. In this story, Eleanor has just gotten her license to be able to fly a plane, even though she had never attempted it. After speaking with Amelia, the first woman to ever fly a plane, Eleanor was amazed and inspired. They decided to go for a ride. They flew the plane over Washington, D.C. and had the absolute time of their lives. Reporters everywhere surrounded them once they landed and were persistent on asking them hundreds of questions. Once they arrived back at the White House, Eleanor could not seem to get rid of her adrenaline rush. She decided to go for a drive in her brand new car around the city for the first time, with Amelia right by her side. How amazing to see two women make history and step out of their shell to do things only men were ever capable of doing back then. The Paper Bag Princess was another one of my favorites. I love this book because I've felt just like this princess before. Princess Elizabeth was planning to meet her future Prince Ronald today. Little did she know the turn of events was about to occur. Her clothes were burned down unexpectedly when a wicked dragon burst into her castle and all she had went up in flames. She was so embarrassed to show up to see her prince because of it. She couldn't find anything but a paper bag lying around and decided it would just have to do. When arriving to meet the prince, he told her to go home and to not come back until she was dressed in her beautiful princess attire like they all should be. Her witty reply to his rude remark was, "You look like a real prince, but you're a bum." And I wish I could applaud her for this. Why do your clothes make you who you are? Why should what you wear take away from being any more or any less beautiful than who you are on the inside? The point I'm trying to make is that it shouldn't. Last but not least, I read the book She Persisted by Chelsea Clinton. This book, as the cover states, is about 13 American women who changed the world. Among these women were Harriet Tubman, Helen Keller, Claudette Colvin, Sally Ride, and many more. I've heard about these women before all throughout school and was inspired again to read each and every one of their incredible stories. Clinton's purpose for writing this children's book was to serve anyone who's ever wanted to speak up but was told to quiet down. I applaud her so much for being brave enough to publish a book that so many women and children can benefit from, and men can read to appreciate the strong-hearted, brave, and powerful women from the past. In conclusion, if you have ever been personally victimized by gender stereotypes, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself and what you believe in. If you're a man who wants to wear pink, wear pink. If you need to just cry it out, do so. If you're a woman who wants to try out for the basketball team, don't be afraid. And don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. Thank you all for listening.